What is up, everybody? Maine Fly Guys here with another tutorial. Today we're doing a salmon wet fly. I've started with just some black UTC 70 thread, and I've already tied in a UTC ultra wire silver right here. So here I have just a piece of flash. It is silver. I'm not sure if, there we go. So I'm going to tie that in. And I'm going to tie it in right above my wire, just right above it, so that the wire is right underneath it. Alright? And then the back portion is going to be floss, if I could find my floss. There it is. And it's going to be a red floss. So this is Unifloss red, and I'm just going to cut a little piece off and tie that in as well. Make sure it goes right to the back. There we go. And then I'll just do touching wraps forward. Now I only want my red tag end of this fly to be, I don't even want it to be half the body. I want it to be like a little less than half, but a little more than a quarter, I guess. If I'm being, maybe I'm being too specific. But just enough for a tag end. Something to catch a fish's eye, so to speak. There we go. Now catch that. Just like so. Once, twice. Give that a little snip. Now I've come to learn with the salmon flies, you definitely need to be more patient, because a lot of the steps are quite require a good amount of tedious work. So here is a pheasant feather from a ring-necked pheasant, and it is right above where the tail feathers are. They have these long wispy fibers. So I'm going to tie that in right where my red ends. Alright, so I'm going to tie that in, and then I'll move forward. Now I'm going to move all the way forward until basically a little bit before the head. Oops. Tighten that vise up a little bit. Right before the head, right about there. So I leave about an eye behind. I'm going to do a bunch of things in that little segment, so be sure not to crowd your eye. So I'm going to go back. I'm just using this thread as kind of a marker. Like this is where I want my thread to end. And then I'm going to take some dubbing. Just really sort of scruffy looking dubbing. This is black. And I'm going to sparsely put it on and just make kind of a loose dubbing noodle. This dubbing will absorb a good amount of water. And it'll make this fly really sit in the water, and once it gets wet it will stay down, which I want to do. So I'll just do some wraps, try to make them as even as possible. There we go, try to make them as even as possible. Once you get up toward this upper end, you won't even see this part of the body because of all the other extra stuff going on, so don't worry too much about there. But so there it is, not too shabby. Now I'm going to take my pheasant and I'm going to palmer these fibers backwards, and I really only want like 3 wraps, maybe 4 if I have enough room. So you really want to kind of space them out. There's one. Come on. Because you see how, I mean, it's just incredible the amount of fibers that this feather has. There's 3, and I'm gonna get a 4th one in there for good measure, because I like the look of these fibers and how beautiful they are. So I will catch these fibers, and don't worry if it's a little on the messy side for right now, because we will be fixing that. We will be fixing that. Alright, so there's our fibers. See the nice wispy. I'm just going to come back and catch those. So now this part is rather difficult. So now we still have these wires and stuff back here. So what I like to do is kind of force these forward so that I can do my tinsel. And just go slow, because you're gonna need to, your fibers are gonna get trapped a lot. And just be patient. Just keep working them, especially once you get to the black. Just keep working them. Just keep, see how that's going through there nicely? Just keep working them through and kind of going side to side and making sure that your fibers aren't getting trapped. I mean, it's inevitable that you will trap one of them or some of them, but it's not a huge deal. As long as they're not incredibly trapped. Oops. And it's important to try to keep your spacing even. How's that look? That looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. It's okay to trap some fibers because, I'll tell you why, because as long, I should rephrase that, it's okay to trap them as long as they are trapped where it's in this kind of fashion, where they're trapped and making it a cone, because we want that cone kind of shape. If they're trapped and they're going every which way, then that's not okay, because you do not want that. Alright. So here's what we have. So I'll take a look at it. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. You guys should be happy with that. If you're not, right? I don't care. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to again work these fibers forward. And I'm going to start making a little tag working backwards with my wire. And I'm going to do 5 wraps backwards. So that's 3, that's 4. And on my 5th one, I'm going to come forward. And I'm going to try to get the wire to be either right, I'm going to try to get it to be right before the tinsel. I'm going to do my best. There we go. Try to get it to be right before. Again, if you're not perfect, it's not really a big deal. But, you know, salmon flies and looking pretty and all that jazz. That's important to some people, I suppose. Alright, so just keep working it. Just keep, you know, take your time. As my good friend Davey McFeel would say, take your time. Take your time. I can't do a very good Davey McFeel accent, but... Alright, there we go. That looks pretty good. Oh, careful. There we go. I hope this looks as good on your end as it does on mine. Mine, it looks pretty good. And there we go. So we've now successfully gotten our wire through there. Lock it in before you let go of it, and it, and it unravels everything. So now you might be thinking, well, this looks pretty ugly up here towards the head, and I would agree with you. It's definitely not the best looking head, so we are going to cover it up before we get to our real head. So this is like, you know, fake end before fake end. So I'm going to work back just so it's clean. Nice even keel. So there we go. See how we have that nice shape? That nice sort of like wispy shape going backwards. And And you can kind of fuss with it and move fibers around if you want and whatnot, but this looks pretty good so far. So now we're gonna do 3 sets of hackle wraps, and they're going to go in this order. First, this is a back pheasant feather. It's just gonna add some bulk towards the front because the fibers are really thick and dense. So we only want a few wraps of this, like 2. Okay, so once you've tied it in, just pull your feathers back there, tie in that tip, lock it in place, trim the tips. I'm going to use hackle pliers here because these feathers are notoriously slippery. Palmer it backwards again. This feather has a little iridescence, so it will add a little iridescence to your pattern. Alright, and then just do touching wraps forward. Again, I only want 2 wraps. There's my second wrap. Tie that in. Very good. Okay. Next on the list is a guinea feather. So here I have a nice guinea feather. How's this looking? Oh, that looks wonderful. So I have a nice guinea feather. This you'll get maybe 4 wraps out of, so you'll get a little more distance. Same thing, grab the tip, splay out the feathers. Tie it in. This one you'll cover up a lot of that disgusting looking head that we have. And it will cover up any mistakes that you might have made, or maybe not mistakes, but unsightly errors. So again, I'll just palmer these backwards. And this adds no iridescence, but it does add a really cool pattern. And you know, this feather, it's not a secret that this feather works well as a fish attractant. So I have caught. Make sure you're not catching any of your previous feathers. 2. There's my 3rd. Oops. And I will come around for a 4th and final wrap. Okay, there's that. Lock that puppy in. Cha-ching. Get that fuzzball out of there. Alright, and then I'll just work back a little bit just to make sure those are secure. And so, let's see how that's looking. Fantastic. See, very, very cool pattern. Very cool pattern. You know, it just adds a little flash to it. So now I have a yellow cape, just a hen cape, nothing special. And I want the fibers to be soft and long. So here I want them to go to, you know, roughly the edge of the body to this end of this red part here. So I'm not going to tie it in at the very tip. I'm going to go maybe 1/4 of the way down, maybe half the way down. See where those fibers are nice and long. I don't want this to overpower the fly, so I don't want to do too many wraps because it's very easy to overpower with the color yellow. You know, I just want this to be a subtle aspect of the fly, right? So I'm not going to do too many wraps. I'm going to wrap until I feel comfortable. So what I'll do is I'll palmer, get it started, and after each wrap I'll say, how's that? No, I want to go a little more. I think it could use a little more yellow. Keep palmering all the way around. Usually I come to 3 turns is what I like. So here's my 3rd and final turn. And that is what I like right there. So I will lock this in. careful. Pull the fibers back. Trim the tag. And now what I have is a nice subtle yellow collar there. And it's not overpowering, especially once we put the wings on. It's not overpowering, but it's definitely present. Look at that. That's turning out to be a very nice fly. So finally, I'm going to add a wing of mallard. And here you see I have a little tip. This is actually not from mallard. This is from a wood duck. But I do like it. It's a little softer than the mallard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a wing, and I'm going to take this feather and I'm going to get rid of the fluff first so you can see that a little better. And I'm going to pull out 2 equal parts, like so. And what I'm going to do is grab them, making sure they're equal, and then I'm going to cut them right there, yeah, at the stem. Okay, so now I have one side, and then I'll come through with the other side and cut that. What I'm then going to do is lay them in one hand, crisscrossing. So here's one. I'm going to take the other one and lay it on my hand so that they are like this. Do you see the V there? There's a distinct cross. So what I'm going to do is make sure they're even first off. There we go. What I'm going to do is lay them down to where I want, which right there is one. And then I'm going to pinch them with my left hand. Come over with a loose wrap once, twice, and lay them down. And you'll see they kind of just lay down on top. You see that nice bend there? It's freaking fantastic. Alright, so again, I'm just going to lay it on there. I want it to be a little bit longer. And then I'm just going to go soft over. 2 soft wraps. And you see it's a much thicker wing now. Pull down tight. Get that a little slick there. Let's see how that looks. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now we have this just magnificent wet fly that is great for swinging. I mean, look at that. That's nice. That's a very full fly. If you're into sparse flies, this is definitely not the fly for you. But if you are into very dense flies that are going to swim straight and stay down, then this would be a good swinging fly for you. Alright, I'm going to trim this up and tidy the head up a bit, and then I will bring you guys back. Alright, so I just touched up the head a bit, cleaned it up and put some varnish on it, and here's our fly. Just a beautiful, very dense little salmon fly that I have high hopes for. I've never actually fished it, but I can't imagine that that it won't be, a staple in my box. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Please go check out our website for new gear, new apparel, and new fly tying videos at maineflyguys.com. And if you have a fly that you want to see tied, please reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and let us know. Let us know what you want to see tied, and we'll do it for you. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.